Hey everyone, it's Alexis. I am back with a brand new video here to talk about, as always, manifestation tips, recreating and creating yourself, your specific person, and how to do those things to create your ideal relationship. And really in our minds, how do we go about being successful in relationships? If you've not been successful in relationships, how do we do this whole thing, right? Well, I'm here to give you tips and tricks and share a success story today about someone who had never experienced love and commitment, adoration, and being chosen from her person. And now she is being chosen, loved, and adored. So how'd she go about it? How can you apply this so that you can finally be experiencing the reality that you're desiring? All right. Before I get started, like always, just a reminder that the links for booking one-on-one coaching with me are in the box below. If you look at the online calendar and you do not see an open spot, please do one of two things. Put yourself on my wait list and try to grab my next available if I get a cancellation. Number two, please email us in sessions@createyourfuture.co. Request my soonest time, give us your information, and our beautiful receptionist, who is also very busy, will hook it up for you. Okay. So yeah, let's get into the content today and let's talk about this because, as I say sometimes and kind of a lot, there are a lot of misnomers out there that I consistently hear from clients about how to manifest your person, how to manifest yourself, how to manifest a relationship. And I'm here to share my tips about how to do this, okay? If you're going to leave a comment about manifestation videos and what people say in contradiction to what I say, you're on your own with that because my videos are about my perspective, what I help people with, and what I have seen work for hundreds of people, okay? I'm not someone here who is a YouTuber, who has a channel, who is talking about this, who hasn't actually worked with people who are in crisis, suffering from traumas, moving through childhood wounds, and trying to recreate themselves and finally create family, life, love, babies, etc. Okay, so it's a very precarious individual system that you need for yourself in order to manifest your ideal relationship. That's my disclaimer right away. Okay, because I hear things from people that I don't like all the time, like overnight manifestation. I hear about that less because it's less used. We're not even allowed on YouTube anymore to say instantaneous. Okay. So how do we go about this, right? Now, the thing that I want you to think of is that how you go about it is changing you. Now, I've said this before in like every video. There is only one person to change. The person to change is you. The person to change is self. But that is not always the answer in terms of if you perpetually think this is just me changing me. I'm just changing self. Number one, you're perpetuating perhaps that something is wrong with you, right? You're perpetuating that everything is your fault, perhaps. And you're maybe even perpetuating that you are the problem. Now, are you the problem? Yes, is the other issue, right? Because reality creation comes from you. You are responsible for who you are, who you've created yourself to be, and who you create other people to be. That is it. But you're not really the one to blame because a lot of your ideas about you and the ideas about people, and especially the ideas about love and relationships, were not something that you chose. It was just what you agreed to from the outer environment. So anyways, there's a lot of unwinding and a lot of unpacking, and there are so many layers, you guys, to love and relationships and creating the ideal situation with your person. And that's why a lot of people aren't successful at doing this from grabbing a list of intentions or doing a bunch of affirmations. We're not doing something to get something. You're not doing something to make something happen. You're not doing this to change a person. You are doing this to finally fully receive the experience and the energy and the creation of love, connection, and emotional connection with the person. Perhaps you're also wanting to receive and feel and get and experience in your awareness complete unconditional love from someone. Now, the unconditional thing, given how family systems are and parents just doing the best job that they could do, okay? The unconditional love thing, most of us just never had, didn't have, never had, never really knew. And then you come to this whole thing and now you're trying to figure this whole thing out. Very much like this client, okay? The client I'm referencing today, she had what I see a lot, which was parents who were pretty absent in her younger years, working, involved, weren't very hands-on with the kids, didn't do a lot of lesson teaching, weren't very conscious, okay, but they were busy. My answer to you is this: your parents were who they were because, like I've said in a lot of videos recently, you picked them. Just accept it. But you also have to kind of get over the people you're blaming for things. So if you're finding all this out, right? Like a lot of people find this out. Oh my gosh, my imprinting, my phase that I became me was 0 to 7, learning about lovability from my environment. When I was 0 to 7 years old, my subconscious was taking on information, right? So like, why didn't they just do a better job, right? I hear that a lot too. Okay, you don't want to do that either, you guys. You want to be like, okay, so I picked my parents, I picked to be me, to come into this life, to experience human life on the human plane. So whatever happened 0 to 7, it was by design for me to be the best version and reclaim me later on. Okay. There's always a learning. There's always a lesson. There's always a self-benefit to everything that we create, even if we don't think so. Okay. So as much as you create your reality and your reality is a projection of you and it's not real, you still want to make sure that you're recreating the script, that you're telling yourself about your lineage, about your childhood, about your family, making it to your benefit, and recreating and changing your perspective and your focus and your overarching viewpoint on like everything going on with you. Okay. Now these are sneaky things because a lot of people will be doing like a list of intentions. Alexis, give me affirmations for this. Give me affirmations for that. I need an affirmation for this. I need an affirmation for that. All right. I understand. I do not call myself the affirmation queen. I am more of the thoughts create coach, therapist, hypnotherapist, and the self-creation facilitator to get you to where you want to be, which is being that now. Okay. But if you're doing that with yourself, right? I need an intention for this and intention for that. And it's all kind of out of a scarcity lack mindset, or you're anxious, trying to get something done, make something happen, figure it out. Okay. You don't want to do that either, right? Because that's all coming from the idea that something's not right. Something's not going on. I'm not getting it. How do I fix it? What do I do? Okay. So what's the answer for all of that instead of a bunch of intentions and affirmations? It's changing your concept of you and life at large as a whole, and changing your thoughts about you and life at large as a whole. And understanding the thoughts that you're walking around with, like, oh, nothing's really happening. I'm not getting a lot of movement. Nothing's going on for me. I'm not seeing anything change. This is so difficult. I can't do this. Maybe it just happens by chance, right? Now, usually we're thinking thoughts like that because there's other things going on in life that really aren't working or aren't lining up, or we're feeling kind of a sense of apathy and discontent of life as a whole, right? So if you are running those thoughts behind the scenes or at the same time, it's going to cancel out all the good affirmations and intentions anyways. We need to have the baseline thoughts of self, for self, of being who you want to be in the relationship and being that, thinking that now. Now, this is the thing, and I've said this in a lot of videos. I'll often ask people, well, who do you want to be? Who is the ideal version of you? And people will tell me, well, the ideal version of me is he's always calling, or he's always texting me, right? He's adding me on Instagram. And I'm like, whoa. Whoa. So how did our concept of us become, he treats me this way and that's how I know who I am, right? Oh, I'm receiving so many calls, and that, okay, and I fully empathize and I get it, you guys, but that is a very limited surface level perspective, and it isn't even focusing on self. It's still focusing on seeing self through other people, which is what we've been trained to do. We have been trained to see ourselves through other people, approval mechanisms, things happening outside of us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on. And there's not time for that. We don't need that anymore. This is your time to decide with conviction and persistence who you are. Okay. I am making a video like this because people have liked my shorter videos. And this is to the point because this is the answer. Now, to do this effectively, it takes time, persistence, building a new habit. It's like, think of it like if you're going to begin a new habit, like developing a nutrition plan. Okay. You're going to eat a different way. Let's just pretend. Okay. What you want to do is follow the plan and not look at the results for a while, like not weigh yourself, not do this, not do that, right? You want to be focusing on, this is the plan. This is what I'm doing. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to execute it, and I'm going to see later the results, right? If you're doing a fitness plan, the best thing to do is not to weigh yourself all the time, to counteract and look for results early on. It's a long haul process. That is really all these things are things, they're for a lifetime, you guys. All this applies for a lifetime. So there's no point in looking at time. If you're looking at time and you're asking anyone about time, or you're looking at, oh, I'm so logical, how long is this going to take, right? You have missed the boat, and it's a limited perspective, because time, yes, time is an illusion, and time is a human created concept, but even perpetually saying that means you're focused on time and not focused on self. What you need to be focused on is you changing you. How would I be thinking? Who would I be if I was thinking of myself in the ideal way, in comparison and in not relative to whatever you're manifesting. So let's say, as an example, that you were creating a new body, a new self, a new figure. And let's say you did have a nutrition plan and a fitness plan. That's great. Amazing. But it needs to be coupled with choosing who you would be and how you would think of yourself now and see yourself now if you had gotten the results. Okay. So we apply that to relationships, right? We often also think that the relationship is so dependent upon the other person. Now, if you're someone that wants to manifest marriage, kids, right, then you could be very, very, very convinced it's so about them because you think you need someone to have that, or the person that you need to be is a different version of you in order to focus on that differently, right? Because all the thoughts create. Your thoughts of you create thoughts of them. Your stability with you creates stability with them. It is literally impossible to focus on recreating a person if you aren't recreating yourself at the same time, or you get tripped up and unfocused by who they're being. That's the other thing. Like, there are so many layers to this a specific person manifestation arena that it's a very multifaceted practice that you're taking on if this is what you are embarking on, which I think is the most brave, courageous work to do, because it's really rewiring and reworking all of these things about self, right? So that's why it doesn't come down to just, instantaneous, a couple weeks, just change your thought to this and intend for that. No, it's a whole deep process of unearthing who you've been as you create who you want to be. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to get to the success story. Here we go. All right. Dear Alexis, thank you so much. With all of our sessions and all of the times that you've helped me, I can finally say that I am writing in with my success story. She writes that in all capitals, exclamation point. I can't thank you enough for holding my hand and giving me a little bit of tough love sometimes, even though it wasn't really so tough after all. It just got me back to focusing on myself. What you said all along about myself being the epicenter of my reality, how I think about myself, feel about myself, think about myself, and feel about myself, and changing those things perpetually is what has allowed me to see change in so many things. Before my ex-boyfriend came back, I received a promotion at work, which you also helped me define who I would be if I had the promotion. What would I be thinking if I was picked? What would I be thinking if I was chosen? Instead of what I see a lot in other manifestation videos is doing affirmations to get something. You really help me understand that being the person, thinking that I am the person now, is what allows it to all unfold for me. Okay, how cute. Now back to my specific person. Just to give everyone a backstory, we had been broken up for about 7 years. And I hadn't heard from him in 3.5 years. I knew all along that he was the person for me. And yes, I had dated other people. And even as I was manifesting for him and creating the change within myself, I was also still seeing other people. And this allowed me to have some fun, some distraction, and really be focusing on, as Alexis guided me to, understand to date and to be loved and to experience love in a different way. It all came together one night when I was on a date, and I actually received a text message out of the blue and a Facebook message out of the blue from my ex. He was wanting to get together with me, talk things through, and he said he had been thinking about me off and on for about a year, but that he had never reached out to me. This is what they say when everything can come together at once. Now, it didn't all come together perfectly, but I can say that we are back together, and as Alexis always says, better than ever. We ended up having a talk one night, and that allowed for all of the things to unfold. And then I was finally in the process of allowing myself to receive the love, the commitment, the adoration, and for him to choose me consistently this time. And now I can honestly say that I feel so different. The practice of allowing for this to happen instead of looking for what was wrong was a big game changer for me. Thank you, Alexis, for all of your help and support. I can't wait to be a continual success story. Just wanted to share this with you since it all came together, since I had actually seen you for our last session. And big hugs to you. And I can't wait to see my video. It's something I'd always wanted, XO. All right. So now this is the thing, right? Is that oftentimes people come to conscious creation of a person, and when the person comes back, they go back to how they've been, which is hyper focusing on the negative. And I see it a lot with people anyways, and just all people in the world, unless you train yourself, you can be so prone to focusing on the lack, the negative, what's not there, what's not going on, what's frustrating you, what's bothering you, who's making you angry, who's making you mad. Okay. So it's not a surprise that we do find, until you recreate these things, that relationships can be difficult, but you have to change all of these things and have a whole new perspective about all of it, just like this client. Okay. Now, over time, I tailored her intentions because yes, she had affirmations, but they were coming from the place of the version of self and the version of him. Okay. And she wasn't living in the end like, we're back together, this is so great. She actually was affirming for reconciliation, an apology, communication, connection, getting it going, figuring it out, talking again. Okay. So she wasn't doing some way in the future, living in the end, elusive practice that she really felt didn't resonate with her. She had tried that and it didn't work. Okay. So this is my hope for you, and my intention with this video is that you finally get it, that it helps you click, oh, it really is just about me. And if I'm feeling like lousy about myself most of the time, or if I'm feeling like things aren't working for me in a lot of areas, or just my love area most of the time, that is the place I need to change. And that is the place we need you to commit to changing consistently, collectively, with diligence. Okay. And then it can come together so quickly, so easily, effortlessly for you. But this is a process. Okay. It's not instantaneous. Thought is instantaneous, but to get on the new thoughts, we have to override the old thoughts, and it's a whole thing happening. The energy of reality is a collection of thought, and everything is based in thought. Everything is based in thought. Now, I've said this a couple times too, and I really want to shake everyone's opinion about this whole I am so logical thing. Okay. Now, if you're telling yourself the story because you're great at your career, or you are, logically, let's say, great at maneuvering stocks and bonds, okay, or you're great at knowing when the market strikes and how to develop, okay, whatever you do that you think you're so logical, okay, all of the great inventions of all time have always come from a place within, and an inventor and a perspective that was illogical, meaning it didn't exist yet. Okay. That includes our phones. That includes, oh, look, I have a 5-minute journal fit edition that I'm using. This didn't exist at some point. It was created by thought first. So if you want to be like, oh, I'm so logical, it's just like I'm thinking thoughts, and I'm so logical and analytical, right? Just know that you're not really using the true power of you and the imagination and creating your reality, right? The more that you're like, oh, I'm so analytical and I'm so linear, and I just need to get this in a linear fashion. Well, guess what? You're going to be disappointed, or because you're going to be creating things based upon what you're seeing. Your thoughts are going to be based upon that happens out there, so I'm thinking this in here. Now, that's a very natural process, but I want you to think bigger, think broader, intervene. Okay. I've heard that statement, I'm so logical, from enough people that it's like, no, the logical voice is usually the voice of abandonment, rejection, the old story that tries to come in with, oh, this is so logical. It's illogical that he would love you. No, I'm choosing that he just loves me because he does, right? Doesn't need to be based on the past. Okay. So start to rework these things within yourself. If you think that you're so, you can't really use the power of your imagination, well, you want to develop an ability to and create reality from within you, because that's what we want you to do. It doesn't need to be, I can't do this or I can do this. It's a training, it's a practice that you get better and better and better. And then you're like, oh, this is the baseline of all things. So like, I'm just going to do this. This is how things work. I'm just going to do this from within me. There is no point in basing my thought and idea on what's out there unless I like what's out there. So if you like what's out there, you can build upon it. Once you create things you like, and you're experiencing things you like, and then you keep them going, and then it gets bigger and bigger, better and better. Okay. All right, you guys, this is my video for today. This is my kick in the butt in a video for a Monday to get you on track with your concept of you, with your self-concept, with who am I being? Who am I thinking? Oh my gosh, I get to be first, and starting right now, the person of my dreams. All right. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week. Celebrate yourself today. Enjoy the week, and really, really think thoughts of who you're choosing to be. All right. Mwah. Bye.